Hey guys, today I have for you a review of the Replica G33 flip this side 3x magnifier. Um, this time I remembered to review it before I painted it, so I guess that's pretty cool. Anyway, like I said, this is the G33 model. The G33 is kind of Eotech's next step up from the G23. The real steel comparisons, this is it's lighter than the G23. I believe the field of view is a little bit wider. There's some other well, yeah, I believe on the G33 as well, it's just kind of a push to side rather than the G23, which has a button that would flip it to the side. So that's another change. I purchased this for around $100 shipped from Hong Kong off of Shooter Combat Gear. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested. I haven't had the chance to mess around with the G23. I've only had the chance to operate the G33, so I can't really give a direct comparison, but I can kind of, I'll try and give my opinion on kind of the pros and cons of this in comparison to that. Anyway, starting with the pros for me, the G33 over the G23. G33 has a larger, get this off. It has a larger rear optic piece, or rear lens, and a smaller front. That for me, it was kind of a big draw to the G33 over the G23. Replica wise, the G23 is about 20-30 bucks cheaper than this, so that was another thing I had to weigh in my decision in purchasing this. But anyway, so this has a wider rear lens than the front lens. It's the opposite on the G23. I wanted the wider rear just so I can get kind of a quicker target acquisition, or quicker line of sight or sight picture than I would be able to get with the G23 because of the smaller lens. What else is there? Okay, G33 wise, for adjusting it, you have this knob right here, which is going to move it side to side or left to right, and then you have your top knob, which is going to move it up or down. On this, you can actually just adjust these with your fingers while in game, and it'll change everything around. So that's really nice. On the G23, I believe you have to use an Allen wrench or something to change it, so it's not as convenient. Now, how much you're going to actually be changing this in game, it probably very little to none, but I mean it's just something to keep in mind. The back piece, or the back optic or lens, it has this ring adjustment, and that is for I think it's like depth of field or focus. You can adjust that. The G23, I'm not sure if it has one of those off the top of my head. It might, but it might not. I'm leaning more towards it doesn't, but who knows. Like I said, the G23, I believe, has the button flip to side option on it. So on that, you'd hit the button on the left side, well, not the left side, but if you want it to flip to the right, you'd hit it on the left side, and then the optic would just flip. On this, on the real steel, you could just, it's kind of held by, I don't know what the right terminology is for it, but I'm going to call it like a friction lock, and that way you can just essentially grab this and just push it, and it'll kind of break and go to the side. On the Airsoft version, there's this button here, and you have to push the button in, and then it'll flip to side. And then once it's flipped to side, it'll lock in place. There's a little bit of wobble while it's mounted this way and on the side. It's not too bad. I could do without it, but you know, it is an airsoft replica. It's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to fall off or anything. That's just the actual optic on the base. The base is actually solid onto the gun. So keep that in mind. On the real steel, right here, either on this side or this side, you'd have L3 Eotech, I think, on it, or something along those lines, kind of engraved into this rubber coating or housing. This does have a rubber housing, like the real steel. On the left side here, you have this QR code. I don't know if it's real or not. If I was to take a guess, I'm going to say no, it's not real, but you know, you can try that out for yourself, or if you want, you can ask me and I'll see if it's real or not. Anyway, you got kind of your standard knob system to lock the base onto the rifle. Yeah, it's pretty simple or simplistic. On the bottom here, I'm not sure what this does or what this Allen wrench screw is. I haven't tried to adjust them at all. If you can adjust them, I don't know. I don't know what they're for. I'm not going to mess with it because it's, as it sits right now, it's fine. What you're going to get with the magnifier is obviously the magnifier, the mounting base. You're going to get a small Allen wrench, a cleaning cloth, and a little spacer. That spacer, I doubt you can see it, but that actually goes right in between the actual magnifier and the base. So say you have a Eotech, this is an EXPS 3, which has a higher mounting base than say an EXPS 2 or your 551, 552 Eotechs. The 553 has a higher base as well. So because it has a higher base, you have to put that spacer in, so that lifts the optic a little bit so it'll match better with the Eotech. But if you obviously don't have a higher mounted Eotech, you can leave that spacer out and you should be good to go. Build quality wise, it's nice. It's solid other than that wobble that I mentioned. I don't see it breaking or anything on me. Now on the real G33, you apparently can adjust this flip to side mechanism, so you can tighten it if you want it a little more resistance when you're flipping it to the side, because it is the friction lock. On this one, you have the button, like I said, and it can be unscrewed. And I mean, the more you unscrew it, the less you have to push it in for you to be able to move it to the side. But then honestly, you're gonna have this kind of loose button and slim chance of it falling out, or kind of unthreading itself and falling out. But there is that chance, so I just kind of tend to leave it tight anyways. And you're really not going to be slapping this back and forth a whole lot. I guess the con about it, speaking of slapping it back and forth, is that on the G23 or whatever models have the button that flips it to the side automatically with this spring, that if you're going from say an outdoor setting into an indoor setting, or you need to get rid of the magnification quickly to engage a target, it's gonna be a lot more beneficial to you than say this button, because obviously you're just gonna hit the button and it's gonna flip over without you having to touch it at all. But I purchased this just kind of with the idea of kind of recon missions in mind, where I'm just kind of using this to kind of get just a magnified view of the field or wherever I'm playing at. I mean, and using one of these in CQB honestly is kind of stupid anyways, just because it is a magnification optic. Speaking of magnification, this is a 3x. Like I said, I believe the real steel G33 is a 3.25 or 3.125 or something along those lines. So I mean, it's pretty close to the real steel. It's not exact, but whatever. And honestly, for airsoft purposes, 3 times is plenty in my opinion. Um, I've had a bunch of other kind of long range scopes or Leopold replicas, and those start out at 3.5 times, I believe, and they go up to 9 or 10. And I mean, I don't think I ever moved it past 3.5, unless I was just really looking to kind of just scan the area or trying to zoom in, see if that was a guy or just a stump or something. I don't know. But like I was saying, 3 times magnifier is plenty in my opinion for airsoft purposes. Um, so yeah, you're not gonna be able to flip it to the side as quickly as say the other models, but I mean that's in airsoft. Whether that harms you at all, it's really up to you to decide. Um, you can obviously run it like this as well, just using the Eotech. It's the purpose of the kind of the flip to side mechanism. You can actually run it like this normally if you want. A lot of guys, they'll, or not a lot, I shouldn't say that. Some guys that I've seen or seen videos of, they run it like this pretty much all the time unless they're actually engaging a target. But if they're just doing kind of recon roll, they'll have it like this and say they want to uh, look farther out. They'll kind of flip the rifle to the side and just kind of look through this. So I mean, you know, it's all user preference really. It's how you want to operate it and what's comfortable for you, what you're most effective in doing, stuff like that. Uh, anyway, if you want to see kind of a gun overview of this thing, feel free to comment.